You're inside the press box. Christian FM Sports presents Inside the Press Box, where we discuss all sports from our favorite high school team to college and pro. Here's your host, Paul Tipton and Gary Paris.
Hey, Vero Nation. Along with Gary Paris, it's Paul Tipton. Thanks for joining us inside the press box. Week 1 is in the books. Boy, what a game it was. Miami Northwestern coming to the Citrus Bowl last Friday night. Hey, we had great weather. We didn't have to worry about weather. We had some other things we had to worry about. We'll talk about that in just a minute. But the bottom line is Vero Beach gets a win, their first one of the season over Miami Northwestern, 19-13. All in all, obviously, if you're a Vera fan, you love the outcome. You think it was a great game. If you're a Miami fan, you're probably not too happy today because you feel like maybe things just didn't go your way that night. There's a lot we got to unpack here, GP. Let's start with some of the obvious things. One thing you and I talked about this on Saturday. We kind of debriefed a little bit, and it was you hate when the main headline seems to be about how many penalties were called, did the officiating ruin the flow of the game, all those kind of things. That's what you don't want to have to worry about talking about.
The buzz before the game was about two powerhouses coming together. 7-time state champion Miami Northwestern against one of the best programs in the last decade at Vero Beach High School. 65 wins during the season in a row, consecutive. Two powerhouses coming together for an exciting game. Couldn't wait. Miami fans flocked all the way. They drove all the way up here. They had a great attendance on their side. The Vero side was full. It was a great tip-off at that time. When we kicked that ball off, man, it was flowing. You could feel the energy in the stadium. Then all of a sudden, the game starts. And I'm fortunate for the talk the next day. You and I both went to churches, and the talk that the fans I got was more about the officiating.
Yes. Yeah. The number of penalties and everything.
It took away the great win for Vero Beach and a disappointing loss for Miami Northwestern. But it was all about the officials. And no game should ever be about the officials.
True.
But I looked at it like when you go back and you study the film, Paul, some of those calls were very questionable. Some of them, here's the funny thing, the ones they didn't call.
True.
I mean, we had a wide receiver going down. E.J. White he was held so bad he pulled his jersey off his shoulder pad, the defender, and he was open and he couldn't get to the ball because he was being held. There was no flag thrown on that one. Yeah. That one I wanted to go back and see again, and I saw. So, but generally speaking, of this 46 penalties that were thrown, now that doesn't count the ones that were declined.
True.
But the 46 that were thrown, I'm going to say majority of those were good calls. I mean, they were very close. Yeah. You could look at them. You could say, okay, I can see that. I can see that penalty there. I can see the hold. I can see the push. That one, but why would you want to call that? You know what I mean?
Gary, let me ask you this. You've been around this game a long time. I mean, since you were a kid, you've been around this game. And you've seen over the years that, when it comes to officiating, that there are guys that once they've had experience, a lot of game experience as an official, they kind of get a sense for things of it's not that penalties don't happen. I mean, we've talked about this at nauseum about there's a penalty happening every single play. You could literally throw a flag probably on every single play, right?
Oh,
okay.
Doesn't matter whether you're in the NFL or if you're playing Pee Wee football.
Right. So there's a chance that there's something happening at any given moment of any play. Where do you start to get that enough experience where as an official you go, all right, that's really not affecting the play. I don't really need to throw a flag. And maybe that's where we are right now, because I know there is a big shortage of officials, and you've got a lot of guys probably out there that haven't had a lot of game experience yet?
Well, I think what it is the veteran officials will tell you, I could have thrown a holding call on you. Be careful with your hands. Get your hands inside. It did not impact the play.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? I mean, there was a push in the back, or a guy gets pushed from behind, and all of a sudden you see him getting pushed, and it's 25, 30 yards behind the play, and you're going to throw the flag. And most of the time what it really is that lineman or that person slows down because he can't get to the play, and it's gone, and you run into the back of them. Mm-hmm. But that's all you see is the tail end of a play, and that you throw a flag. I think common sense. I think good judgment. Listen, I would never want to be a high school official.
No,
I mean, I'm being honest with you, because first of all, I'm one of those guys that when I played in the NFL, I just never got caught holding. Okay, I had the art of holding.
Yeah,
I learned how to the art of getting holding a guy,
right,
and having the guy get so mad at you because he couldn't shake you or get rid of you. But I would be hard for me, and I do admire the guys that get out there and do it. It's a tough job.
It is a tough job. It might be one of the most thankless jobs out there, and I know these guys are trying hard. I don't. As a fan and as a broadcaster, I tend to want to give the human element a benefit of the doubt, and that there may be guys who don't like this coach or don't like this team or whatever. But I want to believe that when they're actually out there on the field, that they're trying to call a fair game. Maybe they're not, but I want to believe that.
I agree with you there. Well, I think what aggravated you and I and the fans is that how many penalties that were thrown that then they would have to talk about it for 4 or 5 minutes or longer.
Yep.
And what it does to you, Paul, as a coach and as a player, it takes you out of rhythm. Vero Beach is a fast-paced. They want to get the ball going, get it on, get it. Let's go, get another play in. You wear your opponent down. You attack, and taking those many breaks to call penalties and taking that time, that wasn't fair to either team, in my opinion.
Yep.
Is that throw the flag, mark it off, But it seems like they had difference of opinions on different calls.
It's true.
And again, I don't mind an officiating team talking about it to get the right call in a big play. Mm-hmm. But when they had 5 or 6 of those penalties like that, especially in the second half, that took extra time to do it.
Yep.
Every team lost their rhythm.
Mm-hmm.
I
agree.
That's the thing I think it bothers the coaches more than anything, is that you can't get yourself going. You got to get back in the ball game. And now, I don't want to talk any more about the officiating. It's over with.
Yeah.
It's been beat up in the paper. It's been, you and I heard enough about it at church. I just want to talk about the game now.
All right,
because
let's do that. Let's talk about the game. All right. So, bottom line is, if you're a Vero fan, you're happy, you got to win. And you and I, again, we talked about this both in our post-game show. We talked about it, a couple days later, that this may be, in Miami Northwestern, this may be the most athletic team that we may see all season. We don't know yet, but this could be the most athletic team. I will tell you this, they're young. They've got, obviously a senior quarterback, but man, those wide receivers are all like sophomores. They've got some guys on defense that are just like juniors and sophomores. This team is going to be a problem, I think, for later in the season as they get more experience, and going forward to next season. Watch out for them. They're going to be crazy.
I'll give you an example, Paul. Offensively, our quarterback was 10 for what? I think 10 21?
10 of 21, 158 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 interception.
Okay. Now, 10 pass completions, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Let me just give you this. Those guys played press coverage, played man-to-man across the board, and had one free safety that went to wherever the ball, he followed the quarterback's eyes or arms, and his job was to react. Of the 10 passes that were completed, how well did their secondary do against us? They did a good job because 4 of those balls was caught by your running back.
Yep.
Okay, so that leaves 6 catches by your receivers in the game.
Yep.
And it's just Isaiah Roberts had 3, Eddie Torres had 2, and then you had I'm trying to think of the other receiver.
Well, it was White. I don't even think
White
had a catch.
Didn't have a catch.
He had a touchdown.
Is it Armar Reynolds that maybe caught? Did he come in?
No, I don't think Armar Reynolds was in there.
Okay, who was number 2?
That actually is Reynolds.
Yeah, he's the one catch. Yeah, that's who. So I was sitting there, unless they got 2 double numbers, one on offense, one on defense. But I'm sitting there thinking, when I got the stats or looked at them, I'm thinking, wow, you don't see E.J. White. You don't see other receivers really making big plays. When you can shut E.J. White down, you've done a heck of a job because he's 6'3". The kid can run like all get out. And they did a good job of covering. We may not see a team that can cover like that until maybe we get to the finals of the state or whatever. Again, I don't know if Seminole has that kind of press coverage. I don't know that anybody will. Those were athletes we played. That's some of the best athletic team we may ever see this year in both sides of the ball. They were that good, and they need to be given that much credit to it too. It was. I felt bad for Coach Mata. There was some mistakes made defensively. We because of the speed they had on their side of the ball, they were able to cut back. They threw some screens. We missed tackles. We didn't have people in the trail position. We didn't have people when somebody cut back that wasn't there to help pick up. I mean, those are things you can all fix. You look at all the mistakes you made, and you find the good things you did. But the good thing is, and the thing that counts more than anything, is you won 19-13.
That's true.
That's the way you come away with this game.
Yep.
We played a very physical. That's one of the best tackling teams. When they hit you hard.
Yep.
I mean, our running backs got nailed and stopped. Whereas in the past, last week, they were able to make that little spin move and get on downfield.
Yeah.
You can't dance against a team like that in the pocket or on the line because they're going to come up and hit you hard, and they did. Now, it doesn't. I may sound like I'm overplaying Miami Northwestern. Maybe I am because they are that good. They're that good of a team.
They are good.
And we're not a bad team.
No,
we're not a bad team. I still think I saw a lot of good athletes out there, but I think we walked away with the win, and that's the way football's played. There's going to be drop passes. There's going to be penalties, Paul.
Yep.
And there's going to be holding calls. There's going to be fumbles. That's all part of football. Totally
is, and I couldn't agree with you more. Miami Northwestern was coming off a preseason matchup against Chaminade Madonna. Arguably one of the maybe top 3 teams in the country. And you and I watched the film of that game, and Chaminade just looked so much faster. And so when you play a team of that caliber, now all of a sudden, you always talk about how the game can slow down for a player. I think that's what happened for Miami Northwestern. They played a team that was so fast and so athletic that all of a sudden it was like, well, this is really slowed down for us now.
Well, I really thought the first quarter and a half, I thought Vero looked like the best team out there. It just made mistakes. We had a touchdown call back. We had a fumble and
interception.
Yeah, I mean that's interception, and then we had one called back, and so that looked like to me Vero really was moving the ball well, and I thought, man, this
Yeah, how about, we didn't really see Eddie Torres in the preseason game. He comes out right away. I mean, he actually got the start for the game, and right away, maybe Coach Jay saw some matchup, situations and put Eddie in that position. But, man, he came out right away, had a couple big catches.
Well, when you've got some sophomore receivers, young kids that are playing up there, you got a guy that's a senior like Torres. You feel like, okay, it's time to bring my senior in and let my sophomore develop a little bit in another game or so. That's Eddie Torres gives that to you. He's a veteran. It was good to see him out there make a couple catches. One for a touchdown that got called back.
True.
It was a beautiful throw.
It was.
I mean, the window, it's like I said, they say how in high school, if you've got your window's got to be a little bigger than the college and the pros.
Right. Yeah.
I think in that game, in that catch, I literally think Tyler Aronson broke the window and he caught it. That's how close it was, and that's how great a throw it was on that play.
You talked about the defense, and, one of the things we saw, and give credit to Miami Northwestern and Coach Harris, maybe they saw something there. I think Vero Beach, from watching the film from the previous game on Miami Northwestern, they were totally geared in on Posey as quarterback. And now Posey's more of your traditional kind of pocket passer kind of quarterback. He's athletic enough. If he needs to run, he will run, but he's not considered a mobile quarterback. But then his helmet comes off. He has to leave the game, and Strotter comes in. Now you got a guy who is athletic and is mobile. And all of a sudden, they started seeing some things of like, well, if he buys a little extra time, there's a breakdown in the defense. We're finding open receivers, and they started moving some things around. And then they also went to that 5-wide setup, Gary, that spread things out a little bit, made it a little challenging for Vero.
Oh, absolutely. One of their favorite plays was their screen pass. I mean, their screen pass, they had success on that all night. I mean, it was just a really nice setup, nice play, the way they got the ball to their receivers in the receivers' hands. And their blockers did a great job of man-to-man with us and allowed their speed to get up the field and get going. And so, yeah, you got to look at Miami. I will, after the game, I'm a Miami Northwestern fan because, no, seriously, I think Coach Harris, part of their problem right now is they're probably one of the most undisciplined teams we may see all year.
True.
I mean,
true.
Coach said that when we were watching the Chaminade Madonna game that there were not a lot of penalties. Again, it's the way the game's probably played down there a little different and everything like that. They may have the officials. I didn't get to watch the whole game, but you and I watched a good quarter and a half of a game, and I really thought that Chaminade Madonna was the most dominant between the two teams. There, they were playing a horse. I mean, they were playing a horse of a team, and you're running like a pony. And compared when you see somebody like that, but I really felt that we played probably. I'm going to say this. I don't know that we're going to play. I haven't seen Osceola yet. Not Seminole, rather. I haven't seen them. I haven't seen the film on them. I know they've won, but I really feel that we may have played the best athletic team we'll play in our schedule this year.
And again, got to come back to what matters most, and that is Vero Beach got the win. And I got to give our coaching staff and our kids a lot of credit for hanging in there because in spite of everything that we just covered there, they persevered and got the win and made an important drive when they had to. And Tyler got in, to give us the go-ahead score at 19-13 and seal that victory. So that puts that ahead. And now Vero Beach can regroup, clean up some of these mistakes that they know about them. We're not telling them anything they don't know. But now the attention turns to Palm Beach Gardens, and the Gators last week lost to Atlantic. And this is such a challenging time of the year, Gary, because even though you look at a team and you go, oh well, they played Atlantic. Well, we don't know what Atlantic's like. They lost by a touchdown, 21-14. So what does that tell us about Garden Gators?
I can tell you this. They were in the playoffs last year.
Yeah.
That tells me a little bit about their program. They've had success down there. I think they even won a state championship a few years back.
Mm-hmm.
But and I may be wrong on that, but I thought they might have won one or was in the playoff. But I think that's a good program. I wouldn't take them light. I would not say, okay, after playing Miami Northwestern, here comes the Palm Beach Gardens Gators, and we're going to eat them alive. No, I don't think so. I think that you're going to find a team that played Atlantic. Atlantic's a lot better team than people give them credit for because they won, and you're going to find a team that's hungry. You can't underestimate or overestimate teams anymore. You have to be able to play the game. You got to go out and do your thing. And you and I both know Coach Jay.
Mm-hmm.
Coach Jay is a very positive, upbeat type guy. He's going to get his players ready to play. He's a big, if it's, one color, he's going to say, okay, that's the right color. I don't care what color it is. That's the right color. What we see out there. And that's what I love about the guy. He coaches hard. He coaches his players to get ready. And he coaches all the way through the game.
Yeah.
When the quarterback comes off the field, he's up in his ear talking with him. When a receiver makes a mistake or he wants to know what happened, he coaches. Not only does he call the plays, but he's also coaching at the same time with his players out there. They're well prepared to go into the game. And I tell you what, having Tyler Aronson there as quarterback is like having a second coach with you because the man has understood and gets in there with Coach Jay. They do a lot of talking, they do a lot of communicating, and he's bought into the system last year. Now he's even out there. He's deep into it now, and I think that he makes a great quarterback. I think it's a great game for us. I think it was great to have this game early, and to get it and to learn a little bit more about your team. If I was Palm Beach, I'd be look out because you may have woke up these Indians.
Well, just taking a quick look, Gary, 21-14 was the score for the Atlantic Garden Gator game. Of course, Palm Beach on the losing end of that. But it looks to me, just looking at some stats here, that it was more about the passing game than it was about the running game. So quarterback is Keon Stevens, who's a senior. Threw for about 154 yards and change or plus, and one touchdown, one interception in that game against Atlantic. But yeah, the ground game, based on what I'm seeing here, and if these stats are accurate, they only had 40 yards on the ground.
Yeah.
So,
well, I can tell you this right now: this offensive line of ours of Thomas, Santos, Hall, Stevens, and Smith. They got an education last week too.
Oh yeah,
and they learned a lot. And I'm going to tell you right now, Coach Willis and Coach DeLuke will get them ready to play. And our line, it was an education. I mean, they threw different blitzes and stunts, and they saw speed they hadn't seen at going down and trying to get linebackers and all. So it was a wake up call for everybody, defensively, offensively. And the good thing about it is you wake up the next morning, you won 19-13.
That's it.
That's what counts.
That is what counts. You look in that column where it shows a W and you see a 1. You look in that other column where it says L and it says 0. And so Vero Beach, 1-0. Week 2 coming up this week. We've got Palm Beach Gardens in the Citrus Bowl. Kickoff is at 7 o'clock. Our coverage with Countdown to Kickoff begins at 6 p.m. Hey, by the way, you can always join us on Tuesday nights at Cap's Pizza for Coach's Corner. Gary and I will be joined by Coach Jankowski. Would love to have you there. If you can't be there, you can watch it live on our YouTube channel, Vero Nation Network. And look, if you ever want to ask any of us a question, you can send it to us by email, vnncomments@gmail.com. That's VNN, as in Vero Nation Network, comments@gmail.com. For Gary Parrish, I'm Paul Tipton. Thanks for joining us inside the press box. As always, go Indians.
Thanks for joining us inside the press box. For more, go to ChristianFM.com.